Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thanks, Sarah. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Ajax Heritage Advisory Committee meeting for Wednesday, April 6, 2022. This meeting is being held electronically and live streamed on the internet. All staff and committee members are participating by phone or video. All regular practices and procedures of the committee continue to apply during this electronic meeting. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess until they are resolved. Thanks for your patience. We will now proceed with the meeting. First up, are there any conflicts of interest from committee members with any items to be discussed this evening? I see none, so I thank you. And if we can look for an adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting dated March 2nd, 2022, do we have a motion to adopt the minutes?
Yes, I will move that the minutes of that meeting be accepted as posted.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favor? Looks like it. Okay. That's carried then. So now we'll move on to presentations and discussions. And what we have is a presentation by Mike that Sarah will play back. And then afterwards, we'll discuss things. I have a list of things that we can discuss. So Sarah, if you're okay, you can play that video.
Sure thing, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to swap out screens here for a moment. Now, bear with me. Audio might start right away, but I will make sure that I take it back to the beginning if it prematurely starts.
Good evening, everyone. My apologies for not being able to make this evening's meeting in person. On the plus side, this may be the first time that my presentation doesn't run overtime. I have 6 items to address tonight, and I will run through these items continuously. Where an item requires discussion, I request that the chair coordinate such a discussion at the end of this presentation. The first item is the heritage permit for the Elizabeth Street Cemetery. As we're all aware, the Elizabeth Street Cemetery is located on the west side of Elizabeth Street, up against the Duffins Creek Ravine. It is designated individually under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, in addition to being part of the Pickering Village Heritage Conservation District. The issues at the cemetery have been ongoing since 2015, and the town has tried to work with the cemetery owners since that time to have them rectified. On December 10th, 2020, Bylaw Services issued a notice of non-compliance to the owner based on the condition of several of the monuments within the cemetery. Compliance was required by July 1st, 2021. However, the owner was unable to secure the services of a contractor to complete the work, so the timeline was extended to 2022. On March 11th, 2022, we received a heritage permit application as well as a Pickering Village CIP grant request, which indicated that the work would be undertaken in spring or summer by a company called Semicare, which specializes in monument restoration and foundation stabilization. The town's December 2020 bylaw order included 16 items, all of which have been included in Semicare's work plan. I will quickly run through the work that is proposed for each item. Item A. Cut off the tablet in a straight line, redo the epoxy, and pressure wash. Item B. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item C. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item D. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item E. Disassemble the monument, level it on a new aggregate base, reassemble it, and pressure wash. Item F. Dig up the foot markers and reinstall them at the base of Monument E. Item G. Install a new aggregate base 2 meters from the current location, install the monument on this base, and then power wash. Item H. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item I. Install a new aggregate base 2 meters from its current location. Install the monument on this new base and power wash. Item K. Install a new aggregate base 2 meters from the current location. Install the monument on the new aggregate base and power wash. Item L. Disassemble the monument, level on a new aggregate base, reassemble, and pressure wash. Item M. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item N. Level the monument on a new aggregate base and pressure wash. Item O. Install the loose foot markers in the ground at the base of the monument. And item P. Permanently relocate the loose monuments to the central concrete cairn. Since the required work has been discussed on numerous occasions with this committee, I was able to issue an approval for the heritage permit at the staff level. The town conditionally approved a grant to provide 50% of the project cost. However, we are currently awaiting the return of the signed funding agreement from the owner. I will provide further updates to the committee once they are available. The next item for discussion is the heritage permit for 103 Old Kingston Road, known as the Gordon House. This is a property on the south side of Old Kingston Road that we are all aware of given the amount of work that has occurred there over the last several years. It is a 2-story commercial building that prior to last year was experiencing some major issues with the condition of its red brick facade. However, in the fall of 2021, a significant masonry project was undertaken, resulting in the restoration of the main facade brickwork up to the top of the second floor windows. On March 15, 2022, town staff received both Heritage Permit and Pickering Village CIP Facade Improvement Grant applications to restore the doors and windows on the building's main facade. Staff suggested that the building owners complete the restoration of the masonry project prior to undertaking any new projects. However, the owners decided to proceed with the window and door work and will consider completing the upper wall masonry repairs at a later date. Given that the nature of the proposed works follows common conservation principles and will not result in any visible changes to the building fabric, the heritage permit was issued by staff on March 25, 2022. The grant application package is still under review. The proposed work can be divided into 2 parts. The door restoration will include the removal of the old damaged doors and replacement with new 2¼ inch thick solid white oak doors designed to match the originals. As part of this work, the wooden sills will be replaced and the door frames will be completely restored. Where possible, door hardware will be restored and reinstalled. The second part of this project is the window restoration. There are currently 17 separate wood windows and transoms on the building's main facade. Each will be sanded to bare wood, repaired, primed, and painted. Window glass will be replaced wherever necessary. The completion of this work will significantly improve the condition of the building as viewed from Old Kingston Road. I'm hopeful that the owners will undertake the completion of the masonry project in the next couple of years, which will result in a completely restored front facade. The next item to discuss is the Canadian Military Memorials Database, managed by Veterans Affairs Canada. On March 21, 2022, I was contacted by a representative of Veterans Affairs Canada and asked to provide information on Memorial Park in Pickering Village. I was informed that an incomplete listing had just been submitted to the Canadian Military Memorials Database, which is a repository of more than 8,200 military memorials in communities across the country. Listings on the database can be submitted by private citizens through the Veterans Affairs website, and there are currently 7 sites in Ajax listed on the database, including a general listing for the town of Ajax, a listing for the Dutch-Canadian Friendship Tulip Garden at Vimy Ridge Public School, a listing for the Ajax Legacy Obelisk at the waterfront, a listing for Veterans Point Gardens at the waterfront, and new listings for Memorial Park in Pickering Village, the Memorial Park Cenotaph, and the Memorial Park Gates. Celebration of military history is a big part of Ajax's heritage, and there are many memorials and monuments in town that are not yet listed on the Canadian Military Memorials database. Items such as the War Memorial at Pat Bailey Square, the Pat Bailey Bust, Louise Johnson Parkette, and the various DIL commemorations all have a very clear connection to our military history. Even our individual street names may be considered as potential entries for the database due to being named after personnel from the HMS Ajax, Exeter, and Achilles. Is pulling together listings for all of Ajax's memorials and monuments something that the committee would be interested in? If so, are there any members that would like to take the lead on such a project? The next item for discussion is the potential to offer a Jane's Walk event this spring. For those who are unfamiliar, Jane Jacobs was a journalist, author, and activist working in the field of urban studies. Her 1961 publication, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, is one of the most important works ever released in the world of urban planning, and she happened to spend the later parts of her life living here in Toronto. In celebration of her legacy, a program called Jane's Walks was developed in 2007. This program encourages free local walking tours and has included walks in more than 35 countries across 6 continents. This year, events will primarily occur on the weekend of May 6th to 8th. However, events can also be offered at other times. The town of Ajax participated in Jane's Walks in 2017, 2018, and 2019 with the DIL walking tour. We were posed to participate again in 2020 prior to the onset of COVID-19 restrictions.
Mr. Chair, has the audio stopped on your end? Yes? Okay.
I'd like to get... The town of Ajax participated in Jane's Walks in 2017, 2018, and 2019 with the DIL walking tour. We were posed to participate again in 2020 prior to the onset of COVID-19 restrictions. I'd like to get a sense of whether the committee would like to participate again this year. If so, would we like to focus... The next item relates...
Looks like we're missing the last little bit of that slide, but essentially I believe what Mike Sawchuk is trying to get to is solicit some interest from the committee to see if there's anyone interested in hosting for this year a walk. And of course, staff and communications would be able to help support. So we can add that to our discussion after the presentations. It looks like the PowerPoint has completely stopped, so I'm just going to close out of it and restart. Okay, take 2. Technology is lovely when it's working, right, folks? PowerPoint is just loading again. Okay, here we go. So we'll move right on to the next item in the presentation, which is item 4.5.
To the plaque at the West Glen Park.
And I'll make sure I share my screen so you can see it too.
2015 to 2020, the Heritage Advisory
we're back in business. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
From 2015 to 2020, the Heritage Advisory Committee was deeply involved in the redevelopment of the West Glen property at 1733 Westney Road North. The restoration of the house and grounds was completed in 2020. However, development of surrounding parcels remained active until recently. As part of this redevelopment, a small park parcel was designed on the north side of the historic property. In 2021, the committee worked on a plaque for the West Glen property to be erected on the site of the parquet. However, late in the season, the parquet had still not yet been constructed, so the committee delayed its plans for a plaque unveiling event. Upon visiting the site this week, I noticed that the plaque is now installed and the park has been fully landscaped. So we now need to determine if we wish to host a public unveiling event. On the plus side, any such event is helpful in publicizing the work of the Heritage Advisory Committee and raising awareness of the town's history. However, there are a few logistical concerns that could impact our decision. First, it turns out that this plaque was actually installed at the end of September 2021, so we would be somewhat delayed in hosting an unveiling in the spring or summer. Further, there's a significant road widening project happening on Westney Road right now, so the site is an active construction site and will be quite noisy and messy for the months to come. Please discuss this at the end of the presentation and let me know how you would like to proceed. Lastly, I have a quick update to bring to the committee regarding a standing item from our past agendas. Now that COVID-19 restrictions are coming to an end, we have begun hearing about some local high schools planning to host in-person commencement events. As such, we need to determine if any committee members would be interested in attending these events to present to our Patrick Sheehan Bursary Award winners. At this point, we have not yet confirmed the participation of any individual schools, but these commencement ceremonies could begin as soon as June. So there you have it. I've finished in record time as expected. Thank you for your time tonight, and I'll leave it to the chair to facilitate the necessary discussions. Have a good night, everyone.
I think you went over time if you can count the technical difficulties there. Someone's got to let Mike know that.
I'll make sure that we note that for him. Mr. Chair, you're on mute.
Hello, 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 hello. I'd like to thank Michael for doing that presentation. It was hard sort of having a conversation anticipating what our needs would be, but great thanks ahead of time. And because it was sort of a linear presentation, I thought I would go back to the beginning and reintroduce the items that Mike spoke to. And if anybody has because he's not here to answer questions, if anyone has a comment, just to put it out there, in rather than having a two-way conversation. So let's go back to the heritage permit for the Elizabeth Street Cemetery. Does anybody have any comments or reaction to the good things going on there? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I was sort of, I'm very happy they're fixing up all the stones in that, but there was no mention at all, and maybe I'm missing it, about the bank reinforcement or anything like that. I would have thought there'd be some type of planting plan or something to help hold the bank in and to protect the cemetery.
Very good.
I think that would have to come from the Toronto, who is it? The people that look after the waterfronts.
Conservation.
The Toronto Conservation, yeah, because that is their purview to look after that type of thing. My one concern was that they were saying they were going to use a pressure washer on a lot of those stones. Some of those stones could be like soapstone or not limestone, but very soft stone. I hope they know what they're doing. That's all.
Right. I have a comment. I just wondered, has there ever been exploratory or to see if there's any stones that exist but below the sod, laying flat?
I don't think there has been.
Because when I noticed the markers, which are the corners of the graves, they're pretty embedded. But yeah, I'm just wondering if that has been looked into.
Noted. Any other comments about the Elizabeth Street Cemetery?
I do have another question. Sorry. And I noticed that for, I don't know, a couple, 2, 3, 4 of the grave markers, it said relocated 2 meters forward. Is that because of the bank erosion?
I think it is.
Well, then you're going to have a grave that's falling off the edge of the bank, but the grave marker is restored. I don't know. That struck me as that I have a concern about.
Yeah.
So would you like to make a motion about that, or just are you happy with commenting?
Through the chair, I've been noting all of the committee's comments and questions to feedback through the minutes as well as directly to Mike.
Very good. Any other comments about the Elizabeth Street Cemetery? Very good. So let's move on to 103 Old Kingston Road, Gordon House. Anybody have any comments or questions about that? Very good.
I got one. Sorry. I just wanted to mention that I was there, a week or so ago, and some of the bricks on the side of the building are in pretty rough shape as well. So,
noted. Any other questions about 103 Old Kingston Road? Very good. We move on to Veterans Affairs Canada, the Canadian Military Memorials Database. Do we want to undertake a project to add missing memorials to this database? If so, do we have any volunteers to lead the charge? Comments? Questions? Very good. So we'll work on to the next thing on our agenda, Jane's Walk, the Town of Ajax event. Do we want to organize a Jane's Walk for 2022? If so, do we want to stick with the DIL walk or do something completely different? And is anybody willing to volunteer?
Once again, I will take my post at the front of the line, and I would do a Jane's Walk if you decide that's what we want to do.
That's great.
They'll walk behind walk behind Stephen with the big book.
My partner in crime. Thanks, Paul.
Any other questions or comments? So move on.
Mr. Chair, sorry, just before we move on, is there a particular date? I know Mike alluded in the presentation that typically the walks take place May 6th to 8th. In terms of availability, just so we can work back for some promotion, do we have a date in mind?
May 8th if we could have it, but I don't know what Paul's schedule is. Mine is. Oh, that's
I was thinking the day before May 7th.
That's fine. Yes, I was looking at the wrong calendar. May 7th would be the best. If that's good for you, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I think we fought for that one the last time too.
Any other questions or comments about Jane's Walk? Okay, so we'll move on to West Glen plaque unveiling. Do we want to do a plaque unveiling? If so, when should it be scheduled given the construction work in the area? Construction is intended to continue through July 2023. So are there any special speakers that should be invited? And is this something we should think about doing? Any comments?
with all the construction there, I don't know if it's going to be a good thing. It would depend on how many people wanted to show up, because you could always park on the back streets and walk through the parkhead itself to get to it. I think it's a good idea to have an unveiling, because we've missed quite a few in the last couple of years with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
I agree. It's probably a good idea. And if we kind of target the people that live in that general vicinity to be the participants or the audience that attends it, you kind of eliminate the parking hassle a little bit that way, because most people can walk, especially if we do it in nicer weather.
Very good. Any other comments?
Do we want to suggest that perhaps we look at sometime in June on a weekend where there'll still be a lot of people around?
Something to think about. Any other comments, people? So we'll move on to the...
Sorry, one other thing was, if I know that if we do it sort of like middle to end of June, the HMS Ajax Veterans Association is actually going to be in the town. So we could potentially get participation from that group as well for something like this.
Thanks.
That would be great.
Yeah.
A twofer. Any other questions on that? So my final questions for discussion is, are there any members willing to attend in-person events to bestow awards to winning students?
Oh.
I've done it. I did it before COVID. I'd do it again, just depending on the day of the week that it's happening on. If it's a Monday or a Friday, I could make it happen a little more easier than some of the other days of the week. So it depends on dates and times.
Very good. So you'd be willing though?
I would. Yeah, it was actually quite enjoyable last time.
Great.
I'm willing to.
Oh, that's fantastic. Excellent.
I would consider, depending on what date, the date will make a difference for me.
I think that the dates and times matter for pretty much all of us.
Yeah.
So perhaps when we get dates from the organizing committees, we can email them to you and see if that helps.
Sure. How many schools are we usually talking about? 3, 4?
I think there's 4.
It's just the 4 high schools that we have in Ajax, the 2 public and the 2 Catholic ones.
Yeah.
There's 3 public though.
And oh, is there? Okay, then it's 5 maybe. Oh yeah, it was 5 a few years ago. Sorry, I'm trying to think back to 2019 when we last did it.
I think there's 3 public and 1 Catholic, I think. But okay, if we can get some dates and share those, then we can.
I think the problem is to get to them all. There's some of them have it on the same day. Some of the schools have their commemoration on the same day. I know right. I did it.
And that's why
there was no way you could get to them all.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, my suggestion would be rather than just sending it to the 3 or 4 of us that said yes, if we send it to the entire committee, maybe others might be willing to kind of step up because the availability is there in their schedule, or possibly because 2 conflict and are at the same time. I don't know. We can kind of work together on those, but yeah, there's an interest in doing that.
That's a great idea.
I think also, I'm not sure about here, but sometimes some of the graduation, the commencement ceremonies are in the fall. So I'm not sure what the schedules are here, and they're probably starting up again. So it will depend.
I think that Ajax High used to be in the fall, but they've changed theirs back to the same time as everyone else, like in the summer months. The end of the summer, or like the end of the school year sort of thing. They were the only one that had it in the fall.
In June, yes, but but the other thing though is that we've had 2 years or so of COVID, so not sure what the plans are. That will probably factor in as well.
Yes, there's a huge degree of uncertainty with that right now, with the numbers rising, and so the ability to pivot is once more being asked of all of us, and it could change plans. So that's something to think about with any plans that we make moving forward. Any other comments? So we'll move on to correspondence, and there is none. So the next thing is the update from Councillor Khan. Do you have anything to share with the committee at this time?
That came up really fast. Just a couple of simple things. This is the month of the holy month of Ramadan for Muslims, when they fast from sunrise to sunset. It started on 2nd of April and it's going to end at the end of April. It's 30 days, and then we have our big celebration, which is called the Eid al-Fitr, which is, comparable to Christmas. It's where we give our children gifts and we celebrate, and lots of food, and gain all the weight that we lost in the past 30 days. So hence my voice. It's the 4th day or 5th day of Ramadan. So, and my quietness as well. Going with that, next month, we will be celebrating in May, Jewish Heritage Month, because we have, every other month, and the Jews face so much anti-Semitism that we thought that we should acknowledge it and really celebrate the Jewish community that we have in Ajax, in our country, after all. All the religious stuff there, but some good news. As of today, the toll on the 412 and the 418 highways have been dropped. So we can actually go and enjoy that highway as much as we want with no fees. And it was a pretty pricey highway. I used it a couple of times, like, whoa. So it's nice to know that Ajax did have a strong hold on that. We did, Rob Tyler and myself, we did bring that motion to council and unanimously passed. It was published in the newspapers that we were fighting for that. Even though it's really a Whitby issue, it is Durham. And as of today, so we won that one and tolls have been dropped. So please go take a drive. Well, price of gas may be more than the price of the toll anyways. But anyways, that's my update. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor. Anyone have any questions or comments for the Councillor? None that I see, so we'll move on to other business. Does anyone have any business to share?
Mr. Chair, I have a brief item if nobody else does.
Please.
Okay, well, in the spirit of events transitioning back to in-person, I'm excited to share with you that the Ontario Heritage Conference will be taking place this year, June 16th. I moved my screen out of the way here, to 18th, and it's being hosted in Brockville and the surrounding area. So we haven't had an opportunity to participate this in person in the past few years. And again, based on everyone's individual comfort level, of course, I wanted to extend the opportunity for the committee to express interest in attending this year. We do have some budget if there are a few members who would be interested in attending. And I know we're missing a few people tonight, so I can certainly share this by email as well, because registration won't open until later in the week. And then that way you'll have information on accommodations and how to get there and all that good stuff. So wanted to share the exciting news now that we're transitioning back to in-person opportunities. Hopefully there might be 1 or 2 members interested in taking part.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else have any business to share? Well, it's coming up to our adjournment motion, but before that, I thought I'd slide in a huge thank you to Sarah and Michael for preparing the presentation tonight. As usual, the Heritage Committee is doing pioneering work with alternative formats, and although this meeting was somewhat linear in nature, we haven't done something like this before. So once again, thank you for your patience, and thank you for both the diligent work and the ability just to jump into this to Sarah and Michael. That being said, may I have a motion to adjourn? And a seconder. All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. And at this time, it's scheduled again as an electronic meeting.